Welcome to the headquarters for the Mike Perkins World Media Empire. This is where I read, well, most of the time, this is where I read your post now, and where I respond, do all my grading and everything like that. I wanted to talk to you tonight about plagiarism. As I indicated in some earlier information that I share with you, every 8-week session in each class, I catch about 1 or 2 students plagiarizing. And that whole process is painful for me personally, takes up a lot of time, and certainly it has to be for the student. I never know the truth about what happens. There's obviously 2 possibilities. Number 1, that the student did it on purpose and knew exactly what they were doing, and number 2, that the student did it in ignorance. But either way, plagiarism looks the same, no matter why it happened. And it has the same result. You get a 0, and then you get reported to the institution, and they monitor the incidences of plagiarism. And if there are multiple instances of that happening, which I suspect that there has started to be, then you face other academic disciplines, such as being dismissed from the college. The tragedy of that is that plagiarism is easily avoidable. And I want to just kind of show you not so much some of the specifics, the technical aspects, but kind of the philosophy about where we're coming at you from in academia. Think of basically plagiarizing is not giving credit where credit is due. Anytime you use an idea from someone else, whether or not you use it exactly as in a direct quote, or whether you paraphrase it, that is, you put it in your own words, you need to just simply say where you got that information. That's all there is to it. And you do that by 1 or 2 ways, in APA style. If it's a direct quote, what you do is you put it in quotation marks, and you indicate the author and the year of publication and the page or the paragraph number where you got the information. That's it. It's as simple as that. And by doing that, I can go back and I can read the information. And actually, in scholarly works, that's quite common. I often go and look at the original source of an article that's cited in another paper. Now, another way of doing a direct quote is an APA, is a block quote, and that is if it's 40 words or more, that you take, you indent 5 spaces over from the right-hand margin, and from the left-hand margin, and you indicate that not with quotation marks, but by that indentation, and you put then again the same information. You put the author or author's name, the year of publication, and the page number, and that's it. Now, for a paraphrase, it's a little easier, but it's basically the same principle. For a paraphrase, you put it in your own words, and what you do is you basically you take the idea, and you recast it and put it in your own words, and then you're only required to put the author's name, the year of publication, and that's it. You're not required to put the page number, but if you put the page number down, you're not wrong. So I always urge students to if they paraphrase or if they direct quote, to put the page number down. It's just a good habit to get into, and then you're never wrong. Now, we use a tool here at Columbia College called D2L, and in that tool, that's where we hold our class. And in that tool, we have another tool called turnitin.com that's been incorporated into D2L. So you no longer have to go to a separate website with a username or password. It's built into the class. It's built into the Dropbox, as a matter of fact. Now, what we do in my classes is that I allow you to have access to the turnitin.com report. That means that you can see what I see. You can see the same report that I see, and you can see if there are any problems. Now, let me tell you what I commonly find. I commonly find, number 1, blatant instances of plagiarism where somebody basically cut and pasted information and tried to use it as their own, and that I find too often. The other thing I find is that a person takes the information, they cut it and paste it, but they try to disguise the fact that they did that, and they change a word here or there, and that shows up very, very much, and is very evident when you look at the report. So that trick of trying to fool the grader into thinking that it's yours by changing a few words, it doesn't work. It shows up pretty plainly in Turnitin.com too. Now you're also going to see some other things, and there are things that you don't need to worry about so much. And some of them, you have to remember that Turnitin.com checks literally billions of documents that's on the internet. It's a huge database. So some common phrases and some bits and pieces of words are going to show up. If it's 2 or 3 words that Turnitin.com says came from someplace else, don't worry about it. 2 or 3 words, statistically that's going to happen. If it's a sentence or more, that's when you need to worry about it. If it's a sentence or more, that's when you need to worry about it and take a look. The other thing that will show up is your references, because your references are often cited other places on the internet, and that's okay. Your references, so at the end of your page, of your paper rather, when you do your references list, you will have a list of references, and those should and usually do show up. So a 0 score on Turnitin.com is often not possible, and really not even desirable. In actuality, a score of 20 to 30% is about average, and I look at that regardless if it's 20 or 30%. And believe it or not, I've actually seen scores as high as 50 or maybe a little higher percent that were okay, because not only were there bits and pieces, not only were there the references, but there was also a large number of quotes, and they can kind of add up a lot quicker than you think, especially if it's a shorter paper. So in this class, we do a 5-page paper. You have 3 or 4 quotes of a good length, and your references, and then the bits and pieces, the odds and ends that show up. You can get to 30, 40, 50% pretty quickly. But I start to take a look at that. If it starts to creep up past 40, 50, 60%, and the 60% or more range, I really take a look at it. It doesn't mean that there's always a problem, but I start to take a look at that and look at it really close. So in this class, what I let you do is I let you turn in your assignment into the Dropbox. Then I let you have access to the report, and you can take a look at the report. And then you have another chance. If there's a problem, without penalty, you can correct that problem and resubmit your assignment to the Dropbox for full credit. I only grade the last assignment that is submitted before the deadline is exceeded. So in other words, in my classes, the deadline is at 12 midnight, except for week 8. So it's 12 midnight on Sunday. So really, you can submit up until that time, and I've had students submit 5, 6, 7 times, and there was no problem, and I only grade the last one. But let me tell you something interesting. Here's what I found. In every instance of plagiarism that I can remember since using Turnitin.com, I can't think of one single time, not one single time, did the student check their work. Not one single time. So every time I've caught a student plagiarizing, either accidentally or on purpose, like I said, I don't know which one it was, but every time that they plagiarized, they didn't even bother to use the Turnitin.com tool and look and read and interpret their report. So do me a favor, learn how to avoid plagiarism. I have some other resources. And remember, there's no excuse. If you plagiarize it, you plagiarize, and the consequences are going to come your way. And I've given you lots of tools for you to help do it. And I sincerely want you not to do it, either on purpose or accidentally. And also remember that the vast majority of students don't plagiarize. The vast majority of the papers that I get, there are no problems. But it's something in academia that we need to keep in mind. And we need to keep in mind that if we use something, if we use an idea or material from somebody else, we just need to give them credit, and that's how you avoid plagiarism. So thank you very much for your time.